Hamilton, and you're watching another episode of Luminary Liberators, exploring the entrepreneurial mindset journey. Today, I'm joined by Rikki Ayers. Rikki is the woman in charge at bradmedia.com, offering game-changing social media design and content strategies to boost your business and support your cause. She's passionate about lifestyle design and helping purpose-driven people achieve the creative freedom they deserve. Welcome, Rikki.
Thank you.
It's really good to have you here. I've enjoyed following your journey, so I'm excited to get stuck in and hear a bit more about that. But before we do, can you tell us all a bit more about what game-changing social media is and how you work best with your clients?
Absolutely. So I really focus on working with purpose-driven people, which means people that, donate to causes or want to change the world and do all these great things, more than just being a brand. So that's game-changing because, and it works so well with social media because social media is so much about relationships. And what I really want to help people do is connect with people, whether it's partners or clients or whatever, and build just massive, awesome networks that are really pushing for good change.
Wow, okay. Massive, awesome networks. So why is that important for your clients?
For my clients, it's really important for them personally, but they want to make the world a better place for their kids or their nieces and nephews. There's a lot going on in the world right now that needs help, and people want to do their part. And if I can support that in any way, I will.
So it's really socially conscious businesses that you work with. Is it large-scale organizations or solopreneurs?
I mostly work with entrepreneurs. Not necessarily large businesses so much, mostly smaller businesses or entrepreneurs.
Okay, but really connected to their purpose beyond making money.
Yeah. That's
awesome. That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about some of the misconceptions about what you do.
Yeah, so I get this all the time, and people are surprised by how much time it takes to build a solid social media and content strategy. A lot of people think it's like, oh, you just do a post here, post there. But it's really about looking at the long term, setting themes and goals, and then building solid content that feeds into each piece. So you're actually telling a story over the long term. And that requires a lot of work. And I guess a big misconception around that is just, time and cost and what that requires.
Cool. So do you actually develop those content plans and the content, or is it just the strategy? Do you teach? Do you actually perform the service for your clients?
I mostly perform the service for the clients as well, but I walk them through the strategy. Usually what we do is we have a conversation first about what their big goals are, where they want to go, and then I tailor everything to meet that. Whether that's me developing content or helping out, if they have a VA who wants to help develop content, that's every situation's a little bit different. So we work together to see what works.
Wow. So it really is quite a labor-intensive process. I know from trying to plan my own content out, even just a week to a month in advance, it's quite a job. You need to be very disciplined.
Yes, I've made really good friends with my scheduling apps.
Oh, well, while we're on that then, what are your tips for scheduling apps? What are your top tools?
So I'm in love with Hootsuite. I've tried other ones like Edgar, Buffer. If you do a ton of content, Edgar is really awesome. I just prefer Hootsuite because you get Instagram, Pinterest, you get all the channels in one place, and a lot of other ones do Instagram. I use Google Calendar to build my content calendar, and then I color code different topics and things like that so I know what's coming out when. And then I use this, old school paper planner to tell me what's going on every day. And then there's a bunch of other different apps that I use just to follow hashtags, Iconosquare to check analytics for Instagram and stuff like that.
Cool. So you mentioned that a common misconception is that, social media is, a post here and a post there. it is actually quite a disciplined, if you want to get results, you really do need to be quite disciplined. It's quite a different mindset to popping on there and, you know, telling everyone that you're going on holiday or what you're having for dinner at night.
Yeah, so it's really about being strategic. I've seen a lot of really cool stuff about Facebook groups, and I actually just wrote a blog post about the way that people interact in Facebook groups. Instead of just going on there and posting whatever, you have an idea every week of what you're going to post and talk about, and that eventually builds up to, you know, a launch plan or some kind of an offer or freebie that you're getting ready to share. And it's really important to change your mindset to think like that, because otherwise you're kind of just spraying and praying.
Yeah. Absolutely. So coming on to mindset then, because that's what I'm all about and that's what this series is about, can you tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey to this point? Now, I know we've actually caught you at quite an exciting time, so yeah, I think this is going to be good, but maybe as you're telling it, maybe you could share some of this more surprising challenges that you came up against and maybe how you got over them.
Yeah, so it is an exciting time. I am now full-time self-employed as of last Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so exciting. And it's been a long time coming. It was not necessarily planned to work out that I was liberated at this time, but I took the leap and it's worked out really well for me. And a big piece of that, a big mindset piece that I had to overcome was, you know, that I had enough experience. And I know, Lorraine, when you and I worked together a little bit, we talked so much about this because it was kind of my obsession that I hadn't worked in the field for 10 years and I had, you know, I had a degree, but I just didn't have enough experience to actually make a go of this. And that's totally not true. I know my stuff. And it just took a while to get really confident. And, you know, I'm a social media specialist, but that doesn't mean that I specialize in all social media. So really honing in on the specific channels and strategies and things that I'm really good at and knowledgeable about was a really big change for me.
Okay. So how did you go about, it sounds like you're almost giving yourself permission to specialize in certain channels over other ones. How did you reconcile that?
It was a hard one, especially coming from a corporate world where they kind of want you to be active everywhere. And I think that's a terrible strategy, because if you're trying to be active everywhere, you're not being effective anywhere. And so I really looked at the channels kind of that I thought my audience would specialize in. And so I've looked at things like doing Instagram, you know, Facebook, obviously because it's such a big channel, Pinterest, and a couple other channels. And I'm just kind of putting my feelers out to see what else is going on there, especially live streaming videos, another really big one I'm looking at. And yeah, just giving myself permission to master those channels and get really good at those and give space to other people who want to specialize in other areas of social media.
Give space to other people. So this is this concept of abundance, that moving from that scarcity to abundance mindset, which is something that I think everybody has to go through. How did you navigate that journey?
It was really hard for the longest time. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be good at this and this and this and this. And because I think a lot of that came from the kind of corporate work that I did. I was a specialist, but I was more of a generalist. I did tons of different things, but I really started to see that I was good at a select few things. And I think, you know, you have to change, once you change your mindset from one of scarcity to that of abundance, you know, you feel more gratitude towards other people. You can learn from other people. It just makes you feel better, and it also makes you feel less competitive, which just feels good, you know?
Yeah. I love that you bring up that sense of, you know, not feeling competitive, because so many of us, or the people that I work with and come across, don't want to compete. They actually want to collaborate, but in order to not compete, they have to have that sense of, you know, there is enough for me. I'm happy with what I'm doing. It's so good to hear that you've reached that point, and so quickly as well.
Well, well, I guess a year can be quick for some people. For me, it felt like forever.
Okay. What's maybe been one of the most surprising things that you've encountered on your journey so far?
I think for me, it's another mindset piece is how easy it's been for me to connect and collaborate with people and also to find clients. For the longest time, like, oh my God, this is going to be so hard. I'm never going to find clients. I'm going to have to, lower my rates and do all this stuff. But I really haven't had to do that. It's come down to really narrowing down who my ideal client is, hanging out where they hang out. And just coming back to that feeling of abundance is that there's a lot of clients for a lot of people. And the thing you really want to find is the right clients.
Yeah. That's music to my ears.
Good.
That's fantastic. So you have quite an important message to share with our audience. Tell me what it is, and then tell me a little bit about the thinking behind it, because it's quite punchy.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
You shared with me that your most important message is that working is as hard as you want or allow it to be, which is really quite profound.
Yeah. And I know that we've talked about this in the past too, is that you can work really, really hard and get nowhere. It's about being strategic, being smart about the way that you work, and finding a business model that really works for you. Maybe one-on-one clients works for you. You might have to charge more to make it viable. Or maybe you want to do evergreen products so that you're making money in your sleep. I think that has been a really good learning for me, and I'm kind of looking at all different avenues right now into building up my own business model. Work smart, not hard.
I like that too. It's that sense of being in flow. You're so much more effective when you're actually in flow rather than pushing. But that's what I found for myself. I was talking to Caroline Southwell about this in another episode, and she was talking again about how everybody's flow is different. So what might look like pushing to me is actually you being in flow. So it's just understanding where your flow is and maximizing it, which is exactly the working smarter, not harder, knowing yourself and what's right for you and what works. And that generally translates into connections, collaborations, and clients.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another piece of that is dropping the guilt of not being everywhere. So I know at first when I started to really pare down on things, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm not over here, like I'm missing out. So getting rid of that fear of missing out is such an important piece if you really want to get ahead.
So how did you do that?
It was really hard. I finally just said, you know what, I can't do this. This is not working. I had evidence that it was not working, which is a big thing for me. I like evidence. So I just had to drop it and trust that it was going to work out. And it did.
So trust. So now you have evidence of trusting yourself, which I like.
Yes. Oh, that's a hard one. For a while, I've always believed in myself, but I never trusted, maybe not even so much in myself as in the process and that things will work out. I've always believed, probably from years and years of conditioning, that you have to push, and take tons of action in order to get things done, instead of looking at what the right action for me is.
Yeah, it's quite a strong lesson, that one, and I've certainly put my hand up and say I'm still learning it, but I'm gathering more and more evidence to support that theory. And you're right, there is a lot of conditioning that we kind of need to unpeel and unpack that we've been subjected to, or that many of us have been subjected to. Yeah. So what does the future hold for BRAD Media?
Oh, I'm working on a bunch of things right now, all strategic. I am nearly finished an ebook that I've co-written with a really awesome copywriter friend of mine called The Social Media Roadmap. So that'll be coming out shortly. It's my first book, so that's super exciting. I'm also working on a social media course for beginners. So that will be an audio video course that'll be held on my website that people can check out. beyond that, I'm doing a bunch of client work. I'm also working on rebranding my Instagram this week. I've got a list of things all working up to the bigger goal. I want to have eventually a balance of one-on-one client work with evergreen products. And I'm also looking at possibly spending a month or two in another country later this year. So that's the other thing I'm looking at here and there, what would work.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah. That the freedom that liberating yourself gives you. Yeah. And it just doesn't seem to be. It's not an issue anymore. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
That's a good feeling.
You've come quite a long way in a very short time. What would your advice be to someone who's watching this just now going, oh, I so want to be where Rikki is. I want to have left my job. I want to have that sense of trust, that sense of peace that, clients are actually a whole lot easier to come by than I'm making it out to be, or that I think right now. What advice would you give them?
If they're really having trouble with things like abundance and other mindset, I highly recommend working with someone like yourself, a coach that can help you get over those things. You need someone who you don't know really well to be really objective, tell it like it is, and give you some actionables that can help you get over that. I think that was a huge thing for me. Also, there's reading a lot of like self-help type books. A book that was really a big one for me was Brene Brown's Rising Strong was also awesome, but Daring Greatly was the one that actually flipped the switch for me. And I was like, oh, this is how it is. I'm going to quit my job soon and just do this thing. So that was a really powerful book for me. Whatever content works for you. A lot of people watch videos like Marie Forleo and Tony Robbins and things like that. Just starting to get in the mindset of the people that are already there and just, just getting yourself in there with all the content, just surrounding yourself with podcasts and all these things all the time, just to get you feeling good about where you could go.
Awesome. So I just want to go back. So Daring Greatly was the book that you recommended from Brené Brown. Yeah. But you mentioned, the first thing that you mentioned was to engage the services of a coach if mindset was an issue. Mm-hmm. What's really interesting to me is at what point did you decide that that's what you needed to do, and what made you take that level of investment in yourself and your business? Because I see a lot of people who would like to, but they're not ready. It's an internal battle with themselves to invest in themselves at that level. So can you tell me a little bit about what made you make that leap?
Yeah, so for me, it was I was at a point where I was like, I'm getting nowhere fast. I am kind of beating my head against a wall. I can't get over these mindset issues. I was really struggling internally with some confidence issues and abundance mindset issues. And some people think, I can do this myself. I can figure it out myself, but maybe you're strong enough that you can. I wasn't. I needed help. I needed someone to walk me through the process. And that to me was worth the value. And it's helped me a ton. It's probably saved me a lot of time. I could probably spend another 2 years working in a 9-to-5, struggling, with all that stuff that I just managed to get over in a few months, just by talking to someone who got it, who understood me, and who knew the right things that I should do and take action on.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's the piece, just understanding that it is worth it, because it can be very, very scary to engage somebody at a higher level. There's a lot of mindset self-talk that goes on at that point of, what if I'm the one that it doesn't work for, and what if I can't do it? So thank you for sharing that. I am so thrilled to be witnessing your journey. It's really amazing, and I'm so pleased. Before we wrap this interview up, though, people are going to want to reach out and find out more about what you do and your story. How do they do that?
So you guys can all find me at beradmedia.com. That's BERADMEDIA.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So feel free to pop over there. I've also got a Facebook group if you want to learn more about social media. More details about that on my Facebook page.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure that we put some links to all the different ways to connect with you, so that everyone has their preference on the show notes for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me, Rikki. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers before we wrap up?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say, believe you can do it, because it is totally possible. I believed at this time last year that I would still be working full-time, running a business part-time, losing my mind, working way too many hours, and I trusted myself, and it's working out.
And look at you. You're the picture of calm and success and strategy.
It works.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rikki. And I look forward to maybe catching up with you again and seeing how far you've come in another few months.
Yes, leaps and bounds. That's where it's going.
I'm certain. Thank you for joining me and Rikki on this episode of Luminary Liberators, exploring the entrepreneurial mindset journey. I'll be back very soon with another Luminary Liberator thought leader for you to inspire you.